And to Ukraine now, where the head of the army says Ukrainian forces have captured nearly 1,300 square kilometers of Russian territory. The Ukrainian incursion was launched 3 weeks ago and raised hopes of a respite for Ukrainian civilians living in border areas. Instead, they are facing a growing barrage of Russian glide bombs, cheap weapons that can wipe out a building in a single strike. DW's Nick Connolly reports from Bilopilia in the Sumy region.
Last year, 2 women were sitting on that bench over there. A shell hit just by their feet and killed them.
Driving around Bilopilia with the mayor, it's hard to find a street without a story like this.
Those are the changing rooms of the sports ground, and that's the police station. It's hard to keep track of what happened and when. You remember what happened yesterday, the day before even. But when you've been through it 20, 30, even 40 times, you just lose track.
You might think flower beds would be the last of people's worries in a town like this, but Yuri is convinced they're vital. Belopilia's residents need something to look at, he says, something that's not a ruin. But even in their gardening, municipal workers have to be mindful of unexpected reactions.
The lawns, the bushes, they're all a mess. It's all because we barely get the trimmers and the mowers out anymore. They make the same sound as the Shahed drones. People hear them and panic. Other times, when it's a real attack, the noise from the mowers stops people hearing the incoming fire.
That incoming fire doesn't have to be a direct hit. Often the blast wave or a piece of shrapnel is enough to do significant damage. After the air raid siren, Yuri's phone runs hot. There's information coming in from the military, as well as from residents close to the border. It's his job to keep everyone informed via the town's Telegram channel.
A glide bomb has been spotted on the Russian side of the border. We've also had drones headed towards Bilopilia. Normally, we might get a 40-second warning. Either it'll come in soon and explode, or it'll keep going. Sometimes they change directions at the last moment.
We move a bit closer to the exit to better understand what's going on. Just a minute ago, the mayor sitting next to me here got a message that 2 people have been wounded, 2 civilians been wounded by the glide bomb explosions that we heard just a few minutes ago. It's a couple of kilometers down the road. There's been reports of 1 person lying injured on the street. As we arrive on this residential street, we're told that 2 wounded passers-by have already been taken to hospital. Luckily, these houses were empty. Just a few meters further, and the result would have been very different. Serhiy lives just next door. He's still in shock and angry.
When the bomb came in, no one even bothered to come round to ours and check if we were dead or alive. They were just standing over there, staring at the crater. Do you get it? Do you get why I'm angry?
Serhiy tells us it's not their first close shave. Just 2 months ago, Grad missiles hit their street. And he's a lot less optimistic than his town's mayor. He and his wife don't want to take another chance.
We'll just get out and think what to do next. No one's going to rebuild all this now, if ever.
We have to leave. More glide bombs are on the way.
Our correspondent Nick Connolly filed that report and is now back in the capital, Kyiv, where he joins us live now. Nick, I think that report did a really great job of showing how residents of that border town, Bilopilia, seem to live in constant fear of glide bombs. Can you tell us a little bit more about what you saw in the Sumy region?
So the thing you hear from people living so close to the border, so these towns that we visited are basically between Sumy, the regional capital, and the Russian border. They've been attacked with artillery and drones since this war began, since 2022. But they'll tell you that a drone is comparatively slow. You'll get a warning on the Telegram channel that it's coming. With artillery, they could hear often outgoing fire if they're living directly next to the border where the Russian troops would be. So they had kind of a bit of time to react, to get into their cellars, to get to safety. The thing with these glide bombs is that they are
being launched at a much higher altitude, and they're also coming in much faster. So basically, you hear a bit of a kind of what sounds like maybe a gust of wind or a plastic bag in the wind. And it's just not enough time to get to safety. So this is a much bigger threat because it's a big warhead, but it's also much faster, so you have less opportunity to react. And these are people who are used to significant constant danger to their lives. And also, lots of these places have been without power for the best part of those 2 years. This is not an easy place to live, but this is something that is genuinely different. The question is, do these people have the resources to leave? We met people who had left for some time, had gone away from the border, but just didn't have the savings, the money to establish themselves somewhere new, that maybe had little farms and had nowhere to take their animals. So it is a very significant threat. And for now, even though Ukraine's troops are now on the Russian side, these glide bombs can still travel far enough to reach them. So it's not like they have been delivered, have been kind of protected from that threat for now. So that is something that is a real new factor. And we've only really seen these glide bombs being used at such a scale basically for the last year. So it is something that is here to stay, really.
Our correspondent Nick Connolly, thank you as always for your reporting.